My parents have always adhered to the principle of shared parenting expenses. Mother tends to my elder sister while father looks after my elder brother, leaving me in the middle, constantly required to negotiate with them for any purchases. As a result, I find myself neglected by both sides. During the most deprived year of my existence, in a desperate quest for 5.5 yuan to buy a savory pancake, I was subjected to their relentless psychological manipulation. Mother feigned ignorance, saying, 5.5 yuan? That's difficult to split. It's not divisible. Go and ask your father. Growing weary of the incessant bickering, father tossed me a link. If you want money, fine, but from this day forth, you must join the Filial calculation AA system, just like your siblings. We have raised you for 17 years and 3 months. Even our own daughter must adhere to clear accounts. As I voraciously devoured the savory pancake, I nodded vigorously in agreement. However, when the day of reckoning arrived, the entire family knelt in unison, tearfully pleading for my mercy. Starving to the point of discomfort, I arrived at my doorstep just as the sounds of laughter resonated from within. As I pushed the door open, the merriment abruptly ceased, and all eyes converged upon me. My sister, Lin Ro, was holding a bracelet under the light, exclaiming, "Goodness, this is an antique diamond once worn by European royalty. With this, I am certain to capture Fu Xiao's attention at the banquet." My brother, Lin Mo, clutched a card and cheerfully declared, "Thank you, Dad. I will certainly study hard." Leaning against her enormous teddy bear, my mother took a moment to collect herself before awkwardly asking, "Lin Xiao, what brings you back so soon?" I remained silent, my gaze fixed hungrily on the large meat bun on the table. Mistakenly believing I coveted her bracelet, my sister quickly concealed it behind her back and dragged my brother away. The moment they departed, my parents' expressions turned icy. My father, brow furrowed, inquired, "Don't you have evening classes? Why are you home so early?" A chill ran through me as I glanced at my watch. It was already 9:30. Was this truly early? Ever since I can remember, my parents have adhered to an AA system of parenting. My mother looked after my sister, while my father took care of my brother. Money flowed freely for them, yet for me, it was akin to a stagnant pond. Lin Ro and Lin Mo attended prestigious schools, enjoying the finest of everything, while I languished in the worst school, often barely affording meals. Eventually, my grandfather, unable to bear the sight of my plight, insisted that my father transfer me to the same elite school as my siblings just before I enter my final year of high school. Ironically, upon my transfer, I found myself in the same grade as them, all in our senior year. Nevertheless, while they received a monthly allowance of 100,000 yuan, I struggled to scrape together enough for food. From that moment on, hunger became a part of my existence. I stared longingly at the bun, swallowing hard, wishing my parents would grant me 5 yuan 50 each day so that I could at least purchase a savory pancake at the school gate. As soon as I voiced my desire, my mother averted her gaze. "But your father and I have always adhered to the AA system. That 5 yuan 50 must come from him." My father's expression darkened as he regarded me with disdain. "Come to my study." Upon entering the study, my father wasted no time, stating plainly, "If you want money, fine, but starting today, you must also join the filial responsibility AA system, just like your brother and sister. Have you thought this through?" A glimmer of shrewdness flickered across his face, revealing a calculating demeanor. My heart sank, but my growling stomach compelled me to acquiesce. I opened my phone and discovered it was a system launched by the People's Court, designed to ensure children fulfill their duties of support and gratitude towards their parents. As I meticulously perused the guidelines, my father impatiently snatched my phone, deftly bypassing the pages, and hastily had me sign the online filial responsibility agreement, seemingly anxious about my potential change of heart. After confirming that I was bound to the system, my father's demeanor noticeably lightened, and he promptly transferred 5 yuan 50 to me before shooing me away. Soon after, the sounds of cabinet doors opening and fragmented conversations echoed from the study. It was evident that my father was on the phone with my uncle, boasting about my siblings' accomplishments while lamenting the expenses incurred for my sake. Though I was now bound to the system, I felt no undue concern. After all, the money my parents had spent on me throughout my life could be counted on one hand. The formula milk I consumed as a child was often nearing its expiration date, my clothes were hand-me-downs from my sister, and even my school backpack had been discarded by my brother. Presently, while I may not possess much money, I was fortunate that my classmates were all wealthy second-generation heirs. In this elite academy, I was the poorest among them. However, being impoverished had its advantages. They were too lazy to complete their homework. So I offered to do it for them at 10 yuan apiece, allowing me to earn a decent sum. Without hesitation, after class, I finally mustered the courage to address the group of pampered students who never studied. Does anyone need their homework done? Just 10 yuan per assignment. The wealthy students, who had been engrossed in boasting, abruptly ceased their chatter, staring at me in shock. Moments later, a cacophony of voices erupted. 10 yuan? Who do you think you are? 100. You write mine first. 100,000. In dollars. I nervously swallowed, ready to refuse, when my sister's rival, a girl adorned in Chanel from head to toe, abruptly tossed a stack of dollars at me, exclaiming, "Let us see who dares to compete with me for the top spot today." I gazed at her in immense gratitude, realizing that from this day forward I would no longer have to endure hunger. In the quiet campus, illuminated by the corridor lights, I devoured a double egg sausage pancake while diligently completing my assignments, my stomach and mind thoroughly satisfied. That day in math class, my phone vibrated, signaling the arrival of my first bill. Lin Xiao, amount due 50,000 yuan. Lin Ro, Lin Mo, no amount due, I exclaimed in astonishment, prompting a frown from our math teacher. Lin Xiao, what are you making such a fuss about? I quickly shook my head, insisting it was nothing. Suppressing my anger, I captured a screenshot of the bill and sent it to the family group chat, tagging my parents. I only asked for 5 yuan 50 for a pancake. How did it escalate to 50,000? After a brief silence, the group erupted with responses. My father replied, "That's how the system works. The money your mother and I have spent on you must be reimbursed as part of your filial duty." My mother added, "I bought your sister a new bag, and your father purchased sneakers for your brother. These are all expenses." My sister chimed in, "Hurry and pay up, or the system will mark you down." My brother echoed, "Exactly, don't drag us down." As I read their messages, my anger surged, and just as I began contemplating how to confront the system, a notification chimed on my phone. It turned out to be feedback from the hidden camera I had set up in the living room. Upon opening the video, I was instantly stunned. My mind buzzed. At that moment, only my mother was home. I watched in disbelief as her enormous teddy bear suddenly stood up, embracing her, spinning and dancing, while she appeared to revel in the moment. Just as she became lost in the enjoyment, the teddy bear abruptly halted, tearing itself in half to reveal a man emerging from within, grinning as he reached toward my mother's body, descending further down. I could not bear to watch the remainder of the footage. That teddy bear had been my mother's prized possession since my earliest memories. She never allowed anyone to touch it. The implications of this revelation struck me sharply. If this were true, then according to the system's provisions for illegitimate children, not only would they face punishment, but they would also owe me a substantial sum for secretly raising an illegitimate child. However, it seemed my father remained unaware of the situation. The very thought sent my heart racing with excitement. A grand spectacle was about to unfold. In the study, upon viewing my payment records, my father slapped me across the face. "How dare you deceive me? Weren't you claiming you couldn't even afford a 5 yuan 50 pancake? Where did this 50,000 come from?" My cheek burned with pain. I turned my head away from him, my voice eerily calm. "This is money I earn myself." My father scoffed, as if he had heard the most ludicrous joke. "You live off me. Your tuition is covered by me. How could you possibly have money?" He paused, his gaze growing sordid. "Unless you've resorted to selling yourself?" He waved his hand dismissively. "Whatever, as long as you can pay on time, I won't bother with you." I stared at him in disbelief. How deeply must a father resent his daughter to utter such words? "But father, if you loathe me so much, why did you bring me into this world?" As I exited the study, I clenched my fist, having discreetly plucked a few strands of his hair while he was distracted. The doubts in my heart entwined like rampant vines, compelling me to send samples for a paternity test. On the day the results were revealed, I found myself staring at the report for a full half-hour. My brother, Lin Mo, shared a blood relation with our father, yet there was no connection to our mother. My sister, Lin Ro, was linked to our mother by blood, but bore no relationship with our father. After all the commotion, it turned out that I was the true heiress of the Lin family. In the wake of this revelation, I was momentarily at a loss, unsure whether to feel joy or sorrow. The biases and indifference I had endured since childhood seemed to have found their explanation. My parents, seemingly harmonious on the surface, lived in a state of estrangement. My father never permitted my mother into his study, while she forbade him from touching her cherished teddy bear. A thought suddenly flickered through my mind. My father's study? Before I could ponder further, my phone buzzed with a system notification. Lin Xiao, payment of 200,000 required. Lin Ro, Lin Mo, no payment required. Almost simultaneously, activity stirred in the family group chat. My sister Lin Ro posted a photo of a crocodile leather Hermes bag, captioned, "Thank you for your love, Mom." My mother promptly tagged me with a succinct message, "Lin Xiao, a money." I gazed at the screen, a cold smirk curling at the corners of my mouth. Without hesitation, I took a screenshot to preserve the evidence, subsequently tossing the 200,000 payment bill into the group chat. An immediate silence enveloped the conversation. In the days that followed, my parents' spending spiraled out of control. They took my brother to dine at Michelin-starred restaurants, sharing pictures of lavish feasts in the group chat while tagging me for money. They purchased high-fashion gowns for my sister, each costing tens of thousands, all charged to my account. Absurdly, the system accepted each transaction without question. I remained silent, paying the orders as usual, my calmness inciting their seething resentment, as though my indifference struck them like a blow to soft cotton. One day, in front of the entire class, Lin Mo hurled my homework notebook to the ground, viciously trampling it underfoot, exclaiming, "Do you think paying means you're a Lin family lady? Mom and Dad love me the most. You are merely a tool for making money." Lin Ro, flanked by her friends, taunted me, "Did you see? This is the life I deserve. And you'll spend your life writing others' homework, eating their leftovers." I quietly took out my phone, recording their words. These would serve as my evidence. Until that day, while I was writing homework for others during class, a tall figure unexpectedly blocked the light from my desk. "Lin Xiao, why don't you resist when Lin Ro and Lin Mo bully you?" I looked up in surprise to see Fu Shiyan, the young master of the Fu family, who had persistently pursued my sister. I had no desire to associate with such a privileged heir. A mere glance at him prompted me to lower my head and continue writing. "Stop writing. Will you starve if you don't earn this little money?" At that moment, my phone emitted a notification. "The initial settlement will soon conclude. A deep assessment will commence in 24 hours. Please visit the court tomorrow to confirm the results, and the children must clear their support fees in person." Simultaneously, my parents received these two messages. My mother excitedly clutched her teddy bear. My father, with a sardonic smile, moved aside the bookshelf in his study, addressing someone within. Good heavens, I didn't expect there would be a deep assessment. I suppressed my fury, promptly uploading all the evidence I had to the Filial Piety settlement system before coldly lifting my gaze. "Yes, I truly may starve. If you doubt it, then accompany me to the court tomorrow." The wind at the courthouse swept through the fallen leaves as I ascended the steps, only to be grasped by Lin Ro's arm. "Oh, I ascend to this our Lin family, as young lady?" She scoffed, deliberately emphasizing the words young lady with derision. "Have you brought enough money? Don't embarrass yourself by crying on the spot." My brother Lin Mo scrutinized me with ill intent, tossing a stack of flyers at me. "I heard from Dad that you're doing those kinds of things outside to repay the debt. Here, I've collected them for you." Just as I was about to retort, a stern voice intervened. "Lin Xiao, how dare you show your face here?" It was Ms. Li, my math teacher. I was taken aback to see her. She launched into a tirade against me. "At such a young age, you've chosen the wrong path. Earning money by writing others' homework, and now you want to settle accounts with your parents? I see your intentions are far from noble." "Ms. Li is right." Lin Mo immediately chimed in, raising his voice several octaves. "She has been stealing and cheating at school. Last time, she even stole from her classmates." "I did not." I clenched the strap of my bag, my fingertips turning white. Ms. Li glared at me, her teeth clenched in anger. "Do you dare to retort? If it weren't for your father's reputation, I would have expelled you long ago." A crowd began to gather, their whispers rising like a tide. My parents emerged from the car, my mother leaving the teddy bear inside, while my father wore a cold smile, evidently pleased with the spectacle. A Lamborghini pulled up at the entrance, and Fu Shiyan stepped out. My sister's eyes lit up. "It's young Master Fu. Oh my, he's here for me. What's all this commotion?" A court official stepped out, holding a tablet. "The results of the deep assessment are in. The involved parties may enter." Lin Mo rushed in first, shouting, "Let us see how much she owes us. It must be millions, right?" My father followed closely, boasting, 18 years of tuition. "Living expenses, every penny must be accounted for." The official led us into the hall and placed the tablet on the table. As the screen lit up, everyone held their breath. "Lin Zhengwo, must pay Lin Xiao 7, 2 million Lu Mei, must pay Lin Xiao 6, 8 million Lin Ro, Lin Mo, each must pay Lin Xiao 500,000. Lin Xiao, no payment required. The explanation is found in the illegitimate child compensation clause." The notification rang clear. My parents' faces turned ashen, nearly stumbling as they exclaimed in unison, "What illegitimate child? Impossible." The court system must be malfunctioning. The staff exchanged a meaningful glance with my parents and replied in a steady tone, "The court system does not err. Based on the information we possess, you indeed have an illegitimate child." My parents' expressions darkened, and just as my father opened his mouth to argue, the official gently cleared his throat, interrupting him. "You are a corporate president, and your wife is a wealthy lady in the eyes of the public. You are not lacking in funds." The staff's gaze swept over me with a hint of barely concealed mockery, yet even when your daughter spends $5.50 on a soy sauce pancake, you bicker back and forth, hesitating. Are you even human? My father's cheek twitched, and my mother pressed her lips tightly together, both of their faces paling further. Moreover, your spending records from the past month contain discrepancies. The staff scrolled through the tablet, clearly articulating the crocodile leather Hermes bag purchased for Lin Ro, valued at $860,000, has been charged to Lin Xiao. The limited edition sports car acquired for Lin Mo, with a down payment of $1.5 million, similarly charged to Lin Xiao. And Lin Ro's haute couture gown bought in Europe last month, costing $320,000, is also attributed to Lin Xiao. The total for these items amounted to $268 million, all recorded under Lin Xiao's name. With each statement, my parents and siblings grew increasingly pale, as if all color had been drained from their faces.
Why?
Lin Mo was the first to snap, raising his voice. "Those were all gifts from our parents. Why should they be charged to her? Why should we have to pay?" Lin Ro nodded in agreement, her eyes filled with defiance. The staff met their gazes with a piercing look before producing a stack of printed evidence. "This is your family's chat history, clearly stating that Lin Xiao's expenses are our expenses, along with the binding records from the system that bear your electronic signatures. Would you like me to read them one by one?" Suddenly, my elder siblings fell silent, lowering their heads in trepidation. The conversation shifted back to the illegitimate child, and my parents grew anxious. My father hastily gestured. All right, we will compensate. Are we not allowed to compensate?" Observing this, the staff promptly retrieved a checkbook and pen from a nearby folder, stating, "Since you are willing to make amends, please sign the check here in person." My parents were taken aback, evidently unprepared for the court's demand for direct repayment. Initially hoping to evade responsibility, their faces now reflected shock and indignation. Their teeth clenched in frustration. Despite their usual air of sophistication and lavish spending, this $10 million was practically all their available cash flow. They glared at me with seething resentment, their eyes ablaze, yet powerless to resist. They reluctantly took the pen and inscribed their names on the check. Once signed, the staff immediately handed the check to me, advising, "Keep this safe and secure." I carefully accepted the check, clenching it tightly in my hand. Just when I thought the matter had concluded, an alert from the system echoed through the room. "Lilihua owes Lin Xiao $2 million, Sangyu owes Lin Xiao $3 million." Upon hearing these names, my parents' faces drained of color. As if all vitality had been siphoned away, their bodies swaying slightly. My father's complexion turned ashen, his fingers digging into the handle of his briefcase, knuckles whitening as if they might break. My mother stumbled back a step, her high heels scraping the floor with a piercing sound, her hands clutching her clothing tightly, the skin between her fingers trembling. Why did Li Lihua owe Lin Xiao money? What connection did Sangyu have with Lin Xiao? As these questions reverberated through the hall, my parents suddenly froze, exchanging incredulous glances. My father's pupils dilated in shock, while my mother's lips quivered. In that moment of eye contact, an electric charge seemed to spark between them. "Who is Sangyu?" My father suddenly shouted, clutching his head, veins on his forehead bulging. "Tell me, who is that man?" "Li Lihua is the real seductress." My mother's voice soared to a shrill pitch, akin to nails scratching glass, as she lunged forward, tearing at my father's shirt. "How much have you given her behind my back?" The two began to grapple in the center of the hall, my father's tie askew, while my mother's hair became disheveled like dried grass. Bystanders recoiled, pulling out their phones to capture the scene. Isn't that President Lin? Why is he acting like a shrew? Just moments ago, they were flaunting their wealth, and now they were fighting over money? Look at the screen. It seems he's been caught in an affair. Amidst the chaos, Teacher Li squeezed in, still insisting on resolving matters amicably. Just as she reached out to intervene, two security guards seized her arms. Struggling, she looked up just in time to see the scrolling text on the large screen. Li Lihua owes Lin Xiao $2 million. Teacher Li froze instantly, her eyes bulging, until the smaller print gradually appeared. Li Lihua disrupts a family, knowingly engaging in an affair, severely infringing upon the legitimate rights of Lin Xiao. a legitimate child. As of August 2025, Lin Jiangwo has transferred over 1.8 million to Li Lihua, which must be repaid along with 200,000 in emotional damages. Lin Jiangwo, you deceiver. Teacher Li suddenly shrieked, her mind buzzing, swinging her crocodile skin bag towards my father, the metallic chains striking his face. You promised to divorce by the end of the year. You betrayed my trust. I scoffed, realizing that Teacher Li was indeed my father's mistress. So Lin Mo must be his son? My mother, witnessing this, wept even harder, lamenting as she pounded my father. Why is my life so miserable? A white-eyed wolf at home, and a seductress outside. The three adults became entangled, my father caught in the middle, his face adorned with fresh scratches. The flashes from bystanders' cameras erupted, some even live-streaming the event, the comments section rapidly filling with reactions. Seeing his identity as an illegitimate child on the verge of exposure, Lin Mo cowered in a corner, trembling like a leaf. Seizing the opportunity when no one was watching, he quietly inched towards the door. Just as his hand reached for the doorknob, a figure blocked his path. Fu Shiyan stood there, hands in his suit pockets, looking down at him. Where do you think you're going? Lin Mo's hand had not yet touched the doorknob when he was seized by the black-clad bodyguards behind Fu Shiyan. The guards, robust and formidable, lifted him effortlessly, setting him aside. Meanwhile, the chaos in the hall had been brought under control. My father, mother, and Li Lihua were pinned to the ground by the security guards, their hair disheveled and clothes wrinkled, looking as though they had been through a storm. Surrounding onlookers held their phones aloft, capturing every moment as the number of viewers in the live stream surged, propelling this farce to trending status. The headlines read, Lin Group President's extramarital affair, mathematics teacher engaging in an affair, family ethics drama unfolding in court. My sister, Lin Ro, rushed in wearing high heels, immediately drawn to the text scrolling on the big screen. Upon seeing phrases like Sangyu involved in an improper relationship and Li Lihua disrupts a family, she screamed in outrage, suddenly grasping the gravity of the situation. So, you are the illegitimate child. Lin Ro stormed up to Lin Mo, pointing a finger at him. You dare to compete for resources with me. I will make you pay for this. She raised her hand to strike. Lin Ro had believed herself to be on the moral high ground, reveling in her moment of superiority, but just then, Fu Shiyan pulled out 2 paternity test reports and slammed them down in front of the camera. One was for Lin Ro and Lin Jiangwo, the other for Lin Mo and Lu Mei. Fu Shiyan's voice was cold, resonating through the camera to every viewer. Take a look for yourselves. The comments section exploded. Oh my goodness. What a twist. Lin Ro isn't even President Lin's biological child? So Lin Xiao is the legitimate daughter. My mother suddenly ceased her weeping, staring blankly at the 2 reports, as if all strength had drained from her. My father, in disbelief, glanced between Lin Ro and Lin Mo, his mouth agape for a long moment before releasing a cry of despair akin to a groundhog's. Just then, my father's phone vibrated violently. The frantic voice of his assistant cutting through the chaos. President Lin, it's bad. Our group stock price has plummeted, hitting the limit down within 5 minutes. The company is in disarray and shareholders are demanding an emergency meeting. The Lin family's drama rippled through the community, like a stone cast into a lake, the effects lingering long after. The identity and whereabouts of Sangyu remained a mystery. No one knew who this man, suddenly appearing on the settlement list, was, or what connection he had with my mother. In the boardroom of the Lin Group, the atmosphere was so tense it could have dripped with water. A host of gray-haired elders sat on either side of the long table, their gazes icy and fixed on my parents, standing in the center. A throng of journalists surrounded the entrance, their camera shutters clicking incessantly, eager to capture every moment. My grandfather, leaning on a cane, sat at the head of the table, his chest heaving violently, struggling to regain his composure. He slammed his hand on the table, the heavy wood resonating with a dull thud. What a disgrace. You have brought shame upon our Lin family. My mother, clutching her oversized stuffed bear, slumped in her chair, weeping uncontrollably, soaking the bear's fur with her tears. Dad. It's so hard for me. Lin Jiangwo has never understood me. His only concern is his pitiful business. Yet, no matter how many times they inquired about Sangyu, she stubbornly bit her lip, refusing to divulge a single word. My grandfather's gaze fell upon the 2 paternity test reports at the corner of the table, his fingers trembling as he grasped the reports, his body shaking with fury. He forcefully slammed the report onto the table, his voice hoarse, yet imbued with an undeniable authority. From this day forth, the Lin Group is to be inherited by Lin Xiao. You too, leave the Lin family at once. I, Lin Zhenghong, disown you as my son.
Dad.
The father collapsed to his knees with a thud, his knees striking the floor with a dull sound. You cannot abandon us. We have lost over 10 million and are left with nothing. If you cast us out, we will have no means to survive. The mother followed suit, kneeling and clinging to the grandfather's legs, wailing, Father, for the sake of our marriage, please silence. The grandfather coldly interrupted, his gaze slicing through the father like a blade. Have you not bound yourself to the filial piety liquidation system? Your good son and daughter will naturally provide for your old age. As soon as he finished speaking, 2 crisp notification sounds echoed in the quiet conference room, seeping through the door and captured clearly by the journalists' recording devices. Lin Mo, required to pay Lin Zhengwo 6 million yuan for 20 years of upbringing. Lin Ro, required to pay Lu Mei 8 million yuan for 18 years of upbringing. Upon hearing the notifications, Lin Mo and Lin Ro, who had been trembling in the corner, shot up from their seats simultaneously, like cats whose tails had been stepped on, shrieking, Impossible! You willingly gave me those. Why should I repay you? The parents stared at them in disbelief, their faces drained of color. The father extended a trembling hand, attempting to grasp Lin Mo's sleeve, his voice choked. Xiao Mo, I am your biological father. Biological father? Lin Mo violently jerked his arm away, delivering a resounding slap to the father's face that echoed through the conference room. His eyes were bloodshot as he roared. If it weren't for you raising a mistress and creating this mess, I would be the heir of the Lin Group now. You scoundrels who raise mistresses deserve to die. No sooner had he finished speaking than the giant teddy bear in the mother's embrace trembled slightly, as if something inside had been startled. The mother instinctively clutched the bear tighter, a flicker of panic flashing in her eyes. The conference room fell into an eerie silence, broken only by the sound of journalists furiously clicking their cameras and the grandfather's cane striking the floor with heavy thuds. The parents slumped to the ground, their cries of regret echoing throughout the room. They gazed at their children, who appeared as ungrateful as wolves, and recalled the nationwide network of the court system. Should Lin Mo and Lin Ro refuse to pay the upbringing fees, they would be blacklisted. Not only would they be barred from taking the high-speed train, but their very lives would crumble under the weight of their lost credibility. In that moment, the expressions of the 4 varied: fear, resentment, and a glimmer of hope. The system's notification sounds seemed to reverberate in their ears, and the arrogance on Lin Mo and Lin Ro's faces gradually gave way to fear. Yet, where could they possibly find such a sum of money? Moments later, all 4 pairs of eyes converged on my face, as if I were their last hope. They suddenly knelt before me in unison. Lin Xiao, you are the softest-hearted among us. You never held a grudge when I snatched your snacks. Please, help me this time. Lin Ro pleaded, her voice laced with tears and desperation. Brother, I beg you. If I end up on the blacklist, my life will be over. Lin Mo's brow glistened with sweat, his previous bravado vanished. Qiao, Mom and Dad realized their mistakes. They love you, please forgive us just this once. The father reached out to grab my hand, his eyes filled with pleading. Good child, I promise to treat you well from now on. You must not forsake us. The mother cried, her face smeared with tears and mucus. I observed them quietly, my face betraying no emotion, and calmly uttered, I do not forgive. The parents froze. As if unable to comprehend my words, their expressions momentarily frozen in disbelief. No sooner had I spoken than a round of applause erupted from outside the conference room, and a girl adorned in Chanel strolled in, a smile gracing her lips. Indeed, you are as remarkable as I anticipated, Lin Xiao. For years hence, you shall join my company as my assistant. The grandfather and the company's elders slowly rose, bowing to her with respect, addressing her as Director Lu. I stared at her in astonishment, realizing that Lu Mingyue was none other than the heiress of a wealthy family. Just moments ago, the Lin Group had been on the brink of bankruptcy, and she had intervened to steer it back to safety, with the sole condition of my ascension as the Lin Group's heir. Sister Lin Ro, upon seeing Lu Mingyue, reacted as if she had encountered a nemesis, shouting angrily, Lin Xiao is my sister. You are the one sowing discord behind the scenes. It's all you're doing. Without a moment's hesitation, Lu Mingyue stepped forward and slapped Lin Ro, her diamond-studded long nails leaving bloody marks on Lin Ro's face. Illegitimate child, do you think you have a say here? Lin Ro cried out in pain, covering her face and glaring at Lu Mingyue with venomous eyes. Lu Mingyue ignored her and turned to my grandfather, stating, Director Lin, if you wish to prevent the Lin Group from going bankrupt, please remove these irrelevant individuals at once. The grandfather closed his eyes, letting out a heavy sigh filled with disdain, and waved his hand. Security personnel immediately stepped forward, forcibly escorting the still wailing parents and siblings out of the room without mercy. Lu Minghua blinked at my grandfather. Is it done? The grandfather paused, unsure of her meaning. Lu Minghua shook her head in exasperation, retrieving a lighter from her bag, igniting it and tossing it onto the teddy bear my mother had left behind in the conference room. In an instant, amidst the gasps of the crowd, the teddy bear sprang to life, engulfed in flames, frantically rolling on the ground as if it possessed a will of its own. The people in the conference room were left dumbfounded, their eyes wide as they watched the bear rolling about, rendered speechless. When I discovered that the teddy bear my mother cherished contained Sengyu, I felt no surprise whatsoever. After all, I had already witnessed everything through the surveillance footage. In the classroom, the buzz of my classmates' discussions resembled a swarm of buzzing bees, persisting since the start of the morning reading session. A girl in the front row held her phone, displaying screenshots of the Lin family drama, her voice barely above a whisper, yet loud enough for those nearby to hear. Have you heard? Lu Mei's teddy bear concealed a man named Sengyu. It seems the rest of her sentence was drowned out by murmurs of realization. Even the usual wealthy scions, who love to flaunt their riches, abandoned their newly purchased limited edition sneakers to engage in animated conversation. My dad mentioned that the Lin Group stock price is plummeting like a waterfall. If it weren't for Director Lu's intervention, it would have already gone bankrupt. The Lin couple really went all out, hiding a man in a teddy bear and a woman in the study. Listening to these discussions, I continued to scribble mathematical calculations in my practice book, my pen never pausing. I felt no embarrassment or discomfort, for it was not my fault. The sordid schemes and disgraceful entanglements had nothing to do with me. As the bell signaling the end of the morning reading session rang, I pulled out the savory pancake I had purchased that morning, the aroma of sesame wafting from the oiled paper bag. Just as I was about to take a large bite, someone gently pressed down on my wrist, yanking the pancake from my grasp. I was taken aback, lifting my gaze to find myself ensnared in the depths of Fu Shiyan's eyes. He wore a crisp white shirt, his sleeves rolled up to his forearms, revealing his well-defined wrists. He held a takeout box emblazoned with a golden logo. You're about to take your college entrance exams. Consuming these fried foods is lacking in nutrition. I had my housekeeper prepare 2 servings. Eat it while it's warm. I stared at him in a daze, still chewing on the remnants of the pancake, crumbs stuck at the corner of my mouth, unable to swallow or spit it out, my cheeks instantly flushed. Yet Fu Shiyan appeared oblivious to my embarrassment, naturally pulling out a chair beside me and setting the takeout box on the table, opening it with ease. Inside, a meticulously arranged 4-compartment meal awaited, featuring sweet and sour ribs, stir-fried snow peas, steamed shrimp and egg custard, accompanied by a bowl of white rice, with a heart-shaped fried egg delicately perched atop. Hurry and eat, it won't taste as good when it gets cold, he urged, pressing the chopsticks into my hand while he took a bite from a half-eaten sauce-flavored pancake, doing so with an ease and nonchalance that was striking. I couldn't help but wonder what words of persuasion Fu Shiyan had shared with his classmates. Ever since that day, the number of students seeking my help with their homework dwindled significantly. The boys who once tossed their exercise books onto my desk now scratched their heads in embarrassment upon seeing me. The girls who had previously begged for my assistance in writing love letters now eagerly presented me with neatly organized collections of their mistakes. It seemed they had reached an unspoken understanding, often discussing during breaks how Lin Xiao was destined for Tsinghua or Peking University, urging one another not to hinder my studies. Lu Minghua, having somehow learned that I still resided in an old residential building, unexpectedly tossed a set of keys at me one day after school. The keychain was a diamond-studded little fox, as flamboyant as she herself. The nearest Platinum Joy apartment was on the 18th floor, offering a splendid view, where one could see the playground lights twinkling at night. Leaning against the car door, she tapped the keys with her fingers painted a vivid red, saying, "This will save you an hour of travel each day. Wouldn't it be better to use that time to memorize vocabulary?" The 2 days of the college entrance examination were marked by unusually clear skies, sunlight streaming through the examination room windows, illuminating the test papers with extraordinary clarity. While surrounding candidates nervously gnawed on their pens or fidgeted with their admission tickets, I remained remarkably calm, even able to hear the soft rustle of my pen gliding across the paper. It felt less like an exam and more like a fervent declaration of self-worth. On the day the scores were released, I was assisting the teacher in organizing the graduation files when the office phone began to ring incessantly. Our homeroom teacher, trembling, opened the query page, and when the number 721 appeared, she screamed in delight. "Hua Qing. Lin Xiao, You've been accepted into Huaqing. It's been years since our school has seen such high scores. Immediately after, my phone was inundated with calls from admissions offices of prestigious universities. Tsinghua and Peking universities' representatives even drove to the school, waiting in the corridor with thick brochures in hand. After diligently reviewing all the materials and heeding the advice of both my homeroom teacher and Lu Mingyue, I ultimately chose a dual degree in computer science and finance. After all, I would be taking over the Lin Group in the future, and these two fields would provide a solid foundation. At our final gathering before university, I used the money I had earned from ghostwriting assignments and scholarships to reserve the banquet hall of a five-star hotel in the city center. Crystal chandeliers reflected brilliant light as classmates donned their newly purchased dresses and shirts, dancing freely in the ballroom. Some belted out off-key tunes into a microphone while others gathered around a cake discussing future majors. Watching the joy radiating from their faces, I was suddenly reminded of my early days at the school, when I would cower in a corner eating the cheapest steamed buns. And it was these very individuals who stealthily slipped snacks into my drawer, rallying to my defense when Lin Ro would make things difficult for me. Overcome with emotion, I raised my juice glass and made my way to the center. Thank you all for your care this past year. No matter which city we find ourselves in later, let us keep in touch. This toast is for everyone. As the sweetness of the juice spread across my palate, the banquet hall doors were flung open with a loud crash. Lu Mingyue stood at the entrance, dressed in a striking red gown, its sequins dazzling to the eye. Even more flamboyant than the last time I saw her, though her brow was furrowed with concern. She strode directly to me, slamming her bag onto the table. And after downing 3 glasses of ice water, she gritted her teeth. My father, that old scoundrel, has 3 illegitimate children abroad and now wants to divide the inheritance. Her grip on the glass turned white, her nails almost embedding themselves into the glass. Lin Xiao, wait for me to sort those little brats out. Don't forget our pact. In 4 years, report directly to my company as my special assistant. With that, she pivoted on her 10-centimeter heels, the red dress a fiery blur as she exited. At that moment, I took her words lightly, not realizing that 4 years later, I would be seated in the chairman's office of the Lin Group, clad in a well-tailored suit, perusing the quarterly report I had prepared for Lu Mingyue. Over those 4 years, I not only completed my dual degree but also learned company management from my grandfather, successfully steering the Lin Group away from the brink of bankruptcy. Suddenly, my assistant entered, her expression grave. Chairman Lin, there are 4 people downstairs claiming to be your family, sitting in the lobby and refusing to leave. The security has tried to persuade them multiple times without success. I approached the floor-to-ceiling window and looked down. Lin Zhengwo, his hair graying, wore a faded shirt. Lu Mei clutched a worn-out teddy bear, her gaze vacant. Lin Mo and Lin Ro huddled nearby, their clothes wrinkled, stripped of their former arrogance. They looked up towards the building, seemingly searching for something. I said nothing but took out my phone and snapped a picture of them, uploading it to the Filial Piety verification system. Moments later, a familiar notification chimed. Ding. Detected malicious harassment behavior by Lin Zhengwo, Lu Mei, Lin Mo, and Lin Ro. According to system regulations, each must pay Lin Xiao a compensation of 50,000 yuan for emotional distress. Instantly, the faces of the 4 turned ashen. Glancing at one another, they fled the lobby in a panic, as though pursued by some unseen force. Sunlight streamed through the glass, illuminating the documents spread across my desk. I picked up a pen and signed my name, suddenly recalling my grandfather's words before he passed. In life, the most important thing is to live cleanly. Indeed, the dark past had long been dispelled by the light of day, leaving only the bright path I had forged with my own hands. The end. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to our next story together.